Hello, I'm Stan Gleason, the senior pastor of the Life Church of Kansas City, Missouri. Standing with me is my colleague, missionary Ken Cantrell, to Burkina Faso, West Africa. What you may not know is that when I first was introduced to my friend, he came with his family and visited our church. Within a few days, I was visiting him at the company where he worked. He was one of the top managers for Champs Sporting Goods at that time. And so it was in that encounter that I asked him if I could teach him a Bible study. And he was very gracious to allow me to come into his home with his wife and 3 children. And after the 5th week of spending time and building a relationship, going to lunch, hanging out, I asked my friend if I could, he asked me rather, if he could be baptized in the name of the Lord. And so we baptized him on a Sunday, and I believe it was the next Sunday night that he ran to the altar. Now I want you to know how significant this is. I've been preaching for 40 years. I've never had anybody run to the altar. Well, I've had people run out of the church, but I've never had anybody run to the altar. But he ran to the altar in the middle of my message. I had 3 more good points, and he just ruined my sermon. But he stopped right in front of the pulpit. He lifted his hands. You could visibly see the presence of God come down upon him. God filled him with the Holy Ghost. We brought him into our leadership training, then our leadership team, then our pastoral staff. And the biggest mistake I made is when I took him on a mission with me to Africa. And he got into Africa, then Africa got into him. And so this is my disciple who has been faithful for over 25 years walking with God. Now he's turning around and making disciples in Africa.
Thank you, Pastor. One thing when it comes to making disciples is a matter of trust. And I remember, Brother Gleason, you preached a message, you can trust the body, a long time ago. And that trust factor is what drove me into this. I was raised in the church. Didn't get saved till I was 26. But it was because I trusted a man of God. And Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ. And so I follow my pastors knowing that he's following God. And we're seeing that reproduction of his ministry in West Africa all over. And now we're actually on the 3rd generation of what started. It's not just the pastors, but their sons and then their sons again. And so we're seeing a great, great revival in West Africa. And I thank you so much for everything that you've done for us and our family. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have somebody that I could believe in and trust. And you can do the same thing.
So God bless you as you go and fulfill the mission of Christ and make disciples of all nations.